Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me again. I was just sitting here thinking about collecting and how some things you just don't collect when the time is right. So it got me thinking, is there a console that you wish you collected for, but you just didn't at the time, and now it's just too late? It's the games are astronomically expensive, they're rare, and it just sucks because you had a chance to collect for it, but you just didn't. It was kind of like, oh, well, I'll collect for that later type of situation. It'll be there. I'll get these at a later date. That actually happened to me, and I want to tell you a little story, but I want to show off something kind of cool also that relates to it. So, yeah, I think we all have that moment of, well, I should have got this at this time, and now look at the price on it. I have a situation where I had a chance to get a console and about 50 games CIB, and I just foolishly passed on it because I was thinking, well, I can get these at another time. This is a pretty good deal, but these games, they're not going to go up in price. Nobody cares about this console. But one system in particular that I want to talk about is one that has to do with the story that I'm going to tell today. And I'm going to show something that kind of has something to do with that. So let's get into it. So back when YouTube was just getting started, I was an early adopter of the platform. It became one of those things that I just loved watching was YouTube. And I was a collector, so I was watching channels that had to do with retro video games. One of the channels that I used to watch all the time was obviously AVGN. I loved his content because he just was so authentic, and just everything that he made seemed like so realistic to me and had emotion put into it, had feelings that I felt for certain retro games. And like I said, there wasn't very many content creators on the platform. So the ones that were there, everybody watched. And some of my favorite content creators back then were people like AVGN or Happy Console Gamer, or a channel that I used to love called Classic Game Room. And I would watch them all the time. And they would cover Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, NES, all the old school 8 and 16-bit consoles. One console, though, I noticed was missing was the TurboGrafx 16. Now, I didn't have very much experience with that console, so it was all new to me when I would see content about the console. But in 2009, I found a channel. I don't know how I found it. I just randomly stumbled across it. But the channel was called Spida1A, which was a weird name because it had nothing to do with video games, I didn't feel like. The guy who ran the channel was named Chris, and he had an awesome series called Turbo Views. And it was just so in-depth. The editing at the time was fantastic. The voiceover was awesome. And it made me feel just giddy inside every time a new episode come out. And basically what it was he was reviewing every US release of every single game in the TurboGrafx library, which is crazy to think that's so much work to put into. But I kind of followed the project over the years, and he started releasing DVDs of the reviews that he used to do on YouTube. But basically, it was a passion project for him. He was a childhood TurboGrafx 16 adopter. He had played nearly every one of these games. He collected the entire set when he did start collecting, so he had a full US set. So what better person to go through and review each game because he owned them all. And he would put these on DVD, and I used to buy them on DVD every time they would come out. But recently he finally finished the series, and he came out with a box set that you could put all your previous DVDs in, and that's what I want to talk about today. But before I get into talking about the DVD series, I want to give you a little story of what happened to me when I was collecting early on and how I came across a TurboGrafx 16 console with about 50 CIB games. Now, these were with the jewel cases and the sleeves. I went to a flea market and I was just searching around, and I looked down at a guy's booth. He had tons of NES, Sega Genesis, all the retro consoles that you would see. and he had a gray tote sitting there, and on top it said TurboGrafx. And I didn't think anything of it, so I looked down and I said, hey, what's in that tote? So he takes the top off and he said, my friend gave this to me for $200. He goes, I don't really know anything about it, and I really don't care about it. You double my money and you can have it. So for $400, he was gonna give me about 50 boxed TurboGrafx 16 games and a TurboGrafx 16 console. And I foolishly passed up on it. And I think about that regret every single time I see TurboGrafx things, because what a time to be alive, right? And you just don't know when this stuff is gonna pop off. But at the time, I had never even grew up with the console, so it didn't mean anything to me, and I passed on it. I just looked up recently about 5 or 6 of those games that were in that tote. Just 5 or 6 of them was easily over $800-900. Just those 5 games, let alone 45 more of them in a console. That's one of those losses you take on the chin and you just deal with it. But I just thought that was a crazy story, that I had the chance to get something at a time when nobody cared about it, and I foolishly passed on it. So it gave me the question I want to ask you guys. Was there a console that you wanted to play and to collect for, but you just didn't at the time, and now the prices are just astronomical? For me, it's the TurboGrafx 16. But anyways, let's take a look at this complete DVD series that Chris released to all the people that had previously bought the DVDs. This is a cool little box set that he offered, and it's just basically a cardboard box that holds all the DVDs that he released. And I'll insert some footage in here so you can see some of the stuff. And you got to remember, this is old school YouTube stuff, so it doesn't have 4K resolution and things like that. He was doing this at a time when this wasn't very popular. So it's super cool. It holds all 5 volumes of the DVDs, but I just wanted to show you guys, and it's kind of modeled exactly after an original TurboGrafx box with the handle and everything. So I just really thought that was cool. But we'll take a look here. Open it up, and you have all your DVDs inside. And all it really is a holder for it. But here's all 5 DVDs, and I mean, look at this. This is old school primitive stuff here. But he just talks about every single game in the library. And if you look on here, it'll tell you 25, 50, 75, 100, 135. So every single released game. And there's some little bonuses inside these things too. But I just thought this was cool to show you guys. If you get a chance, you can just go back to his channel. I'll put a link in the comment section where you can just watch all these without having to buy this stuff. But I always wanted to show support for this guy because I really enjoyed his content back in the day. And it was something that I wasn't used to. You know, I hadn't seen much on the TurboGrafx 16. So I really appreciated him releasing this stuff. Just so cool. And as the series went on, he got better at editing and adding little things in. So cool. I mean, look at this. This type of stuff you don't see, and it's all numbered and everything because not many people bought this. I mean, look at this. 150 of these exist because his channel wasn't very big. So I just thought that was super cool, man. Volume 4. So awesome. It's just stuff you don't see anymore. Here's the 5th and final volume. Just so cool, and some extra bonus content. A look back at the entire series. Yeah, just if you guys get a chance, check it out. This is a cool little thing, and I always like to support video game content creators here on YouTube. So I kind of just wanted to show you guys this little box set and kind of just talk about a series that I really enjoyed watching in the early days of YouTube, which was Turbo Views. If you guys get a chance, check it out. If you have a comment, leave it in the comment section below. If there's any console that you wish you would have collected for, but it got too expensive when you decided to, leave that down there too. I'd love to hear it. Anyways, y'all, take it easy. And like I always say, we all can't help everybody, but everybody can help somebody. Take it easy, y'all. Keep on reminiscing.